I'm Deborah Roberts, and this is 2020 in Touch. Just in time for the Thanksgiving holiday, a special hour that you can watch with the entire family. Coming up Friday, 2020 brings you the most unforgettable winners in the Guinness World Records phenomenon.
I was obsessed with the Guinness Book. I remember reading it on the covers, my mom coming in and telling me to, stop reading that silly book.
Like so many children, Ashrita Furman couldn't put the book down, peeling back page after page. But the thought of actually making it onto one of those pages, not a chance.
I was terrible in sports. I always got picked for the last. In fact, I almost failed high school, even though I was, really smart, because I cut gym class too many times.
You failed gym?
I failed gym.
But that same boy who couldn't get through gym class today holds more Guinness records than anyone else in the world. 10.5 hours straight of somersaults, the fastest mile of hula hooping in 15.5 minutes, and balancing a 55-foot pole on his chin for 13 seconds. Ancient Coliseum.
I never set out to do this,
Okay.
but it just kind of happened to me, and it's been the greatest adventure I could ever have imagined.
All right.
I think officially at the moment I have 69 records.
Ashrita says he began studying meditation. His teacher, the late Sri Chinmoy, had legions of followers and convinced Ashrita that he himself could push past physical limits.
If you go deep within yourself, you have unlimited capacity in any field, including exercise and sports.
For Ashrita, it began with a 24-hour bike race in New York Central Park. 24 hours, unthinkable for the boy who hardly got on a bike as a child.
I went out there and I just started riding, and as soon as something would happen, like my legs would start getting tired, I would use the different techniques I had learned. I started doing chanting, breathing exercises, visualization exercises. I ended up doing 405 miles, and I tried third place overall out of tens of thousands of people. Okay, if I could do this, then I could break a Guinness record. I could fulfill my childhood dream.
And so his journey began.
The first thing that I tried to do was jumping on a pogo stick for the most continuous jumps. In the end, I did 100,000 jumps.
And that still wasn't enough, because with every Guinness World Record, there are specific rules, and Ashrita got it wrong. But he was not about to give up. He set his sights on another record, not broken in nearly a century.
There's a record in the Guinness Book that had been set in 1892. It was for running on stilts. And so I said, okay, that would be a great record to break. It's more than 100 years old. And I started doing it, and it took me literally years to find the right stilts, find the right technique. But finally, I was in China, and I went out, and it was really fantastic because I knew here I was breaking a barrier.
And breaking his way into the Guinness World Record book, one record at a time.
That's 1 hour.
By standing on a Swiss ball for 2.5 hours, it's a silly thing. Oh man, it's it. I love it when they seem silly because people laugh and they get joy, and yet it's tough.
Like the sack racing with the yak?
Oh, that was like one of my greatest of all time. Go! I was training for the sack racing mile, and I figured I'll set up a race against a yak in Mongolia. It was great. I had a disadvantage because it was at altitude. So I'm huffing and puffing, and then I realized, the yak is actually having a harder time than I am.
What happened to the yak?
At one point,
Yeah.
the yak couldn't keep up.
The yak disappeared, and they actually had to switch yaks. I burned that yak out. They got another yak, and finally he was keeping up, and in the end I just barely passed him.
Racing in the sack against the yak.
Exactly. Well, the yak wasn't in the sack, it was just me.
Just you
Yeah,
in the
just
sack.
me. That
The
was
yak without the sack.
We got to keep transcending. In fact, I'm just working on the orange nose push record right now.
That's right, the orange nose push.
The truth of it is that I'm always thinking about the records. There's always, a possibility somewhere.
What would you say to people who might say, why don't you put all these talents, all this time towards something that might change the world?
But you know what? I think I am changing the world in my own very tiny way. And somehow, by some crazy quirk of fate, this is the way I'm fulfilling my dreams and hopefully changing the world in my own very, very tiny way. That's why I'm never going to stop doing this. This is my life.
Oh man, good job.
You can see that story and much more Friday night in our special hour on the Guinness World Records phenomenon. We hope you'll watch 2020 on the air every Friday night at 10 o'clock, 9 Central Time. And keep checking in online for our webcast and our plans for upcoming stories. I'm Deborah Roberts. For all of us at 2020, happy Thanksgiving. And remember, we're in touch, so you be in touch.